For centuries, the Gamelon Empire slaughtered billions across the galaxy until one human had the guts to step up and stop the carnage. Harry Collins, an explorer from Earth, stumbled upon a scene of unimaginable cruelty during a routine scouting mission in a distant corner of space. Gamelon soldiers tortured and executed helpless alien prisoners in a brutal labor camp, their agonized screams echoing across the blood-soaked ground. Sickened by the sight, Collins made a decision that would change the fate of the galaxy forever. He would not sit back and let this atrocity continue unchallenged. He would fight the Gamelon oppressors with every ounce of his strength, no matter the odds stacked against him. Collins began building a secret resistance movement, the Galactic Liberation Front, forging alliances with brave leaders from subjugated alien races. The wise Elurians, fierce Krogans, and brilliant Zephyrians all united behind his cause, determined to overthrow Emperor Umbra's reign of terror. Through sabotage, daring prison breaks, and guerrilla strikes on Gamelon supply lines, the GLF chipped away at the foundations of the Empire. But their successes soon drew the wrath of Emperor Umbra himself. The cruel tyrant turned his war machine upon the GLF and set his sights on crushing the human upstarts. Now, with the shadow of annihilation looming over Earth and countless alien homeworlds, Collins and his allies mount a desperate final stand. The future of the galaxy hangs in the balance as oppression clashes against the indomitable human spirit in an epic struggle for liberation. Will humanity rise as the defenders of the downtrodden, or will the Gamelon Empire drown the stars in blood and darkness forevermore? As the Galactic Liberation Front's attacks intensified, Emperor Umbra seethed with rage in his obsidian throne room. He summoned General Drax, his most ruthless enforcer, and fixed him with a piercing glare. "Drax, I want those rebels crushed," Umbra growled. "Hunt them down, destroy their allies, break them." Drax bowed, a cruel smile playing across his scarred face. "It will be done, my Emperor." The general set to work with cold efficiency, targeting the GLF's alien allies with surgical precision. Elurian enclaves burned, Krogan strongholds crumbled. Zephyrian research stations went dark. One by one, Drax captured the leaders of each race, dragging them in chains to a secret Gamelon prison complex. Harry Collins thumped his hand on the table as reports of Drax's brutality poured in. "We have to save them," he declared, his eyes blazing with dedication. "We can't let Umbra break the alliance." Collins assembled his best human operatives for a daring rescue mission. Jack Ghost Reese, master hacker; Ethan Shadow Walker, infiltration expert; Lucas Boom Briggs, demolition specialist. Together, they would breach the Gamelon stronghold and free the captured leaders. The prison complex loomed before them, a monolithic structure of black metal and pulsing energy fields. Collins and his team fought their way inside, trading fire with Gamelon guards in cramped corridors slick with blood. Deep in the bowels of the prison, they found the alien leaders. Elurians, Krogans, and Zephyrians hung in chains, their bodies battered and broken by torture. And standing over them, his eyes glinting with malice, was General Drax. "Pitiful humans," Drax sneered. "You dare challenge the might of the Gamelon Empire?" Collins stepped forward, his weapon leveled at the general's chest. "We dare to fight for freedom, for the right of all beings to live without fear." The two warriors clashed in a brutal melee, human resourcefulness pitted against Gamelon augmented strength. Drax hammered at Collins with fists like wrecking balls, but the human ducked and dodged, landing precise strikes at the general's weak points. In a high-stakes endeavor, Collins tackled Drax, sending them both tumbling into a tangle of machinery. The general roared in pain as electricity coursed through his body, his weaponized implants overloading and exploding. Seizing the moment, Collins freed the alien leaders and led the charge out of the crumbling prison. They blasted a path through the Gamelon lines, Briggs's explosives clearing the way. But even as they fled, Collins knew their victory was fleeting. The Gamelons would retaliate swiftly and without mercy. The GLF would need a new plan, a way to strike at the very heart of Umbra's empire. And then came whispers of the Omnicore, a secret Gamelon weapon that could doom the resistance in one fell swoop. Collins felt a chill run down his spine. To have any hope of victory, the GLF would have to move fast. They would have to aim for the jugular, to cut the head off the Gamelon snake. The battle for the future was entering its most desperate phase, and failure was not an option. In the aftermath of their harrowing escape from the Gamelon prison complex, Harry Collins and the Galactic Liberation Front regrouped at their hidden base, licking their wounds and planning their next move. The revelation of the Omnicore, a secret Gamelon superweapon, hung over them like a suffocating shadow. They knew that if Emperor Umbra completed the device, it would spell certain doom for the Resistance and the entire galaxy. Collins paced the command center, his brow furrowed in thought. "We need more information on this Omnicore," he declared, "and I know just the person who can help us." He turned to the view screen and placed a call to Dr. Zara Vex, a brilliant Zephyrian scientist renowned for her expertise in Gamelon technology. Vex's face flickered onto the screen, her luminous eyes widening as Collins explained the situation. "The Omnicore is being developed at a heavily guarded research facility on Nox Prime," Vex revealed, her voice tight with urgency. "If the Gamelons complete it, they'll have the power to destroy entire solar systems with the push of a button." Collins nodded grimly. "Then we have to stop them. We need to infiltrate that facility and sabotage the Omnicore before it's too late." To aid in their mission, the GLF enlisted the help of Theron Rax, a skilled Gamelon defector with intimate knowledge of the Nox Prime research facility's layout and security measures. Rax's inside information would be crucial to the success of their covert operation. Collins assembled a hand-picked team of his best operatives, including Dr. Vex and Theron Rax. They pored over schematics and security protocols, formulating a plan to breach the facility's defenses and destroy the Omnicore. Under cover of darkness, the team infiltrated Nox Prime, slipping past patrols and security checkpoints with the aid of Rax's knowledge. They made their way deep into the heart of the research facility, where the Omnicore pulsed with malevolent energy. But as they prepared to sabotage the device, alarms blared throughout the complex. General Drax burst into the chamber, flanked by a contingent of heavily armed Gamelon soldiers. "Did you really think you could sneak in here undetected?" Drax sneered, leveling his weapon at Collins. "You've sealed your own fate, human." A fierce firefight erupted, energy beams crisscrossing the chamber as the GLF team fought for their lives. Collins and his operatives took cover behind consoles and equipment, trading shots with the Gamelon forces. Amidst the chaos, Dr. Vex worked feverishly to destabilize the Omnicore's power source, her fingers flying over the control panel. Theron Rax bought her precious time, engaging General Drax in a brutal hand-to-hand duel. Rax fought with the skill and fury of a born warrior, matching Drax blow for blow, but the general's augmented strength proved too much. With a sickening crunch, Drax crushed Rax's throat, hurling his lifeless body across the room. "No!" Collins roared, pouring fire into the Gamelon lines with new hope. Just as all seemed lost, Dr. Vex completed her sabotage. The Omnicore shuddered and pulsed erratically, its containment fields failing. Alarms shrieked as the facility shook itself apart, explosions ripping through the complex. "We have to go now!" Collins shouted, grabbing Vex and dragging her towards the exit. The GLF team fought their way out of the crumbling facility, dodging falling debris and energy discharges. They barely made it to their waiting ship as the research center collapsed behind them, the Omnicore consuming itself in a blinding flash of light. As they rocketed away from Nox Prime, Collins slumped in his seat, his heart heavy with the loss of Theron Rax. The Gamelon defector had given his life to ensure the mission's success, and his sacrifice would not be forgotten. But even as they mourned their fallen comrade, Collins and the GLF knew that their actions had only intensified the conflict. Emperor Umbra, enraged by the destruction of the Omnicore, would stop at nothing to crush the Resistance once and for all. The Gamelon fleet began to mobilize, the might of an entire empire bearing down on the GLF and its allies. Collins stared out at the stars, knowing that the decisive battle for the galaxy's future was fast approaching. They had struck a blow against Umbra's plans, but the fight was just getting started. The Galactic Liberation Front would need every ounce of courage and persistence to stand against the coming storm and light the spark of hope in a galaxy consumed by darkness. The destruction of the Omnicore sent shockwaves through the Gamelon Empire. Emperor Umbra, his face contorted with rage, summoned his most trusted military leader. "Admiral Vrakir," Umbra snarled, "find these rebels and annihilate them." Vrakir bowed low. "It will be done, my emperor." As Vrakir's fleet scoured the galaxy, Harry Collins and his team raced against time. They landed on a desolate, uncharted world, their new base of operations, codenamed Sanctuary. "We need to strike at the heart of the Empire," Collins declared, addressing his assembled allies. "We take out their power source." Dr. Zara Vex's luminous eyes widened. "The Nexus Crystal," she breathed. "It powers their entire civilization." Collins nodded grimly. "Exactly. We steal it and we cripple the Gamelons." He assembled an elite strike team. Jack Ghost Reese for tech, Ethan Shadow Walker for stealth, and 2 new recruits, Aya Lyra, a Zephyrian engineer with unparalleled skills, and Hrak, a hulking Krogan warrior. Their ship cut through the void of space, dodging Gamelon patrols and navigating treacherous asteroid fields. As they approached Gamelon Prime, Collins briefed the team one final time. "This is it," he said, his voice steady. "We get in, grab the crystal, and get out. Simple." Hrak let out a low chuckle. "When is it ever simple?" They infiltrated the sprawling Imperial Citadel, a monolithic structure of black metal and pulsing energy fields. Shadow led them through winding corridors, expertly avoiding patrols. In the central security hub, they encountered their first real obstacle, a squad of genetically enhanced Gamelon guards. Hrak roared, charging into the fray with bone-crushing force. Collins and the others provided covering fire, their energy weapons leaving scorch marks on the pristine walls. With the guards dispatched, Ghost went to work on the security systems. His fingers flew over holographic interfaces, disabling alarms and unlocking doors. "We're in," he announced, "but we've got company coming." They raced deeper into the Citadel, the sounds of approaching reinforcements echoing behind them. Ayalira worked feverishly to bypass the final set of security measures guarding the crystal chamber. The massive doors slid open, revealing a cavernous room bathed in pulsing blue light, and there, suspended in a containment field, floated the Nexus Crystal. Collins approached cautiously, his hand outstretched. Just as his fingers brushed the crystal's surface, a bone-chilling laugh filled the chamber. Emperor Umbra stepped from the shadows, his eyes gleaming with malice. "Did you really think it would be so easy?" he sneered. The Emperor raised his hand, channeling the crystal's power. A wave of energy slammed into Collins, sending him flying across the room. What followed was a chaotic battle. Energy blasts crisscrossing the chamber as Collins and his team fought for their lives. Hrak engaged Umbra in close combat, his tremendous strength barely holding its own against the Emperor's crystal-enhanced power. Aya Lyra worked frantically to disrupt the containment field, while Ghost and Shadow held off waves of Gamelon reinforcements pouring through the doors. With a final desperate lunge, Collins reached the crystal. He felt its power surge through him as he wrenched it free. Umbra howled in rage and pain as his connection to the artifact was severed. "Fall back," Collins shouted. "We've got what we came for." They fought their way back through the Citadel, Hrak providing a near-impenetrable wall of muscle to cover their retreat. They reached their ship, but Gamelon forces were closing in fast. As they prepared for takeoff, a barrage of energy blasts rocked the vessel. Hrak, standing in the open hatchway, took a direct hit to the chest. "Go!" the Krogan roared, his body beginning to glow with stored energy. "I'll hold them off!" Collins watched in horror as Hrak leapt from the ship, tackling a squad of Gamelon soldiers. The Krogan's body detonated in a massive explosion, clearing a path for the rebels' escape. As their ship rocketed away from Gamelon Prime, Collins clutched the Nexus Crystal tightly. They had dealt a crippling blow to the Empire, but at a terrible cost, and he knew that the Gamelons would stop at nothing to reclaim their power source. The battle for the galaxy's future was just getting started. Collins looked at his battered but determined team, the weight of their next moves heavy on his shoulders. The Nexus crystal pulsed with ethereal energy in Collins's grip as their ship hurtled through space. The remnants of his team sat in exhausted silence, the loss of Hrak weighing heavily on their minds. "We need to regroup," Collins said, his voice hoarse. "Set course for Sanctuary." As they approached the hidden rebel base, a chorus of cheers erupted over the comm channels. The news of their impossible heist had spread like wildfire, igniting hope in the hearts of the oppressed. But their triumph was short-lived. Alarms blared throughout Sanctuary as Admiral Vrakir's fleet dropped out of hyperspace, their weapons primed and hungry for vengeance. The rebels' cobbled together defenses stood little chance against the Gamelon Armada's overwhelming firepower. Collins gritted his teeth, watching as the first volley of energy blasts tore through Sanctuary's outer perimeter. "Evacuate all non-essential personnel," he ordered. "We'll buy them time." He turned to his elite fighters, their faces grim but determined. "This is it. We hold the line." The space above Sanctuary erupted into chaos. Rebel fighters darted between massive Gamelon cruisers, their nimble maneuvers no match for the Empire's superior numbers. On the ground, Collins led a desperate defense, energy weapons flashing as they repelled wave after wave of Gamelon assault troops. "The last transport is away," Ghost's voice crackled over the comm. Collins nodded, a bittersweet smile on his face. "Then it's time we joined them. Fall back to the—" His words were cut short as a massive explosion rocked the command center. Through the settling dust, Collins saw Commander Riggs pinned beneath a fallen support beam, blood trickling from a gash on his forehead. "Go!" Riggs shouted, his hand inching towards the reactor controls. "I'll make sure they don't follow." Collins hesitated for a split second before clasping Riggs's shoulder. "It's been an honor," he said, his voice thick with emotion. As Collins and his team raced to their waiting ship, the ground beneath their feet began to tremble. They lifted off just as Sanctuary's reactor went critical, the resulting explosion engulfing a significant portion of Vrakir's forces. With their base destroyed and their forces scattered, Collins made the difficult decision to split up his remaining team. "We're too easy to track as a group," he explained. "We'll rendezvous on Tarnix in one standard week." The barren world of Tarnix loomed before them, a desolate wasteland stripped of resources by the Gamelon Empire. As Collins' ship touched down on the planet's blasted surface, he was surprised to see a small, welcoming party approaching. A tall, broad-shouldered Gamelon stepped forward, his eyes sharp and intelligent. "I am Craxus," he said, extending a hand, "and I believe we have a common enemy." Collins tensed, his hand hovering near his weapon. "Why should I trust you?" Craxus's expression hardened. "Because I've seen firsthand the atrocities committed by Umbra and his lackeys. I want to see the Empire burn as much as you do." Over the next few days, Collins and Craxus forged an uneasy alliance. The Gamelon defector revealed critical information about the Nexus crystal's potential. "There's a rare celestial event approaching," Craxus explained, pointing to a holographic star chart. "The Syzygy eclipse. If we can align the crystal's power with the cosmic energies released during the eclipse, we might have a chance to cripple the entire Gamelon war machine." Collins studied the projections, a spark of hope kindling in his chest. "How long do we have?" "The eclipse occurs in one standard cycle," Craxus replied. "We'll need every second to prepare." As the rebels and Gamelon defectors worked feverishly to construct the necessary equipment, Admiral Vrakir's forces closed in. The eclipse loomed on the horizon, promising either salvation or annihilation. Collins looked out over the makeshift base, the Nexus crystal humming with potential in his hands. The final battle for the galaxy's future was about to begin, and the stakes had never been higher.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel. And for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.